Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Thrilled to introduce you to a lovely lady. Her name is Holli Abbott. She is a nutrition and wellness coach at Holli Abbott Coaching. So welcome to the program, Holli.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your journey to becoming a health and wellness coach. What did that look like?
I think like most people who are in the health and wellness space, I had my own journey, if you will, that started back in my 20s. I didn't get into coaching then, but my health journey really started then when I had chronic digestive issues. I struggled with a lot of anxiety, and then I started my first corporate job, and then you layer in stress, and then things really came to a head, and I had chronic headaches that would never go away. I was in the doctor's office all the time, and their answer to me was always, "Oh, you're young, you're healthy." They would look at me and tell me I'm healthy, and I'm like, I physically might look healthy, but this can't be normal for a 20-something-year-old. And long story short, I ended up coming across a book called The Beauty Detox. And as I was going through that, she was talking about our digestive health and how that's usually a result of our diet. That's one major factor. It's not the only factor. And then how the health of our gut affects all these other things in our body. And essentially, our digestion takes up the most energy of anything. And so if your digestion's having to work really hard, if it's not optimal, that's going to affect all these other things. And I'm reading this and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is my problem here. I knew I had the gut symptoms. And then I also realized my diet was not good at all. And the funny thing was, no doctor asked me about my diet. No doctor asked me about my stress or anything like that. So it was this aha moment of, oh, all these things impact each other. Like I just didn't know. And just throughout my journey of making some changes and seeing improvements naturally with the things I was doing and supplements and stuff too, I just learned, oh, we can heal ourselves. But no one's told this. We're told, go to the doctor, we'll fix you. But the doctor fixes you with a pharmaceutical, or doesn't really fix you. It's just a Band-Aid, honestly. And so that was just part of me wanting to get into this, because I'm like, more people need to know this, like that we have this. Our body knows how to heal when given the right environment, the right tools to do.
I love that. Yeah. It's so interesting. And I think more and more is coming out about your gut health. And I can't remember what they call it. There's a term for it, but basically it is, yeah, that's the base of everything.
Yeah, it's your foundation. And there's a reason, like when I went through functional nutrition training, and we go through it's called the full body systems. And the first system we start with is the digestive system. And there's a reason, because that's your body's first line of defense. You take something in, it goes into your gut, and it's protecting you at the same time as it's breaking down food, absorbing nutrients for your body to utilize it. So if your gut's not working properly, it's going to cause a problem across the board, maybe eventually, if it's not already.
Yeah, there's a Netflix special about that.
There is one that came out recently about a gut health.
It was really well done. It's animated, and it talks about how there are some bacteria in there that are meant to be there, that are good bacteria.
Yes, we have, I don't know, trillions of microbes, and that's just a combination of, we do have a combination of good and bad bacteria and fungi and yeast that all live in our digestive tract, but in a healthy gut, they all live in harmony together. And then when your gut is unhealthy, that means you probably have more bad bugs than the good bugs. You're out of balance, or what we call dysbiosis. So your gut microbiome absolutely plays a huge role. And that was one thing that conventional medicine they don't talk about. Like they don't do anything for it. And that was the huge missing piece for me in my journey, was like, they were just like, I had a colonoscopy and endoscopy, and they're like, oh, you're fine. You just had an infection. We'll cure that with this antibiotic. And that was it. But the reason I had the infection in the first place was probably because my gut microbiome was not healthy, because 70% of your immune system resides in your gut also. So therefore, it didn't kill whatever that bacteria, virus, or infection was to start with.
Yeah. And that's, like you touched on, it's nutrition and stress. Aren't those kind of the two top factors for gut health?
Yes, definitely. Nutrition plays a huge role. Stress plays a huge role because it will cause inflammation in the gut. There's also the gut-brain connection. You may have heard of that. So you can understand how mental emotional stress is going to then link back to our gut through the vagus nerve and vice versa. So if there's inflammation in the gut, then that can affect your mental health as well. So those are the main factors. There's also other underlying things that could be going on. So if someone has low stomach acid, for instance, we've got to do something to bring that back up. Or if they have an imbalanced gut microbiome, just nutrition alone isn't really going to cure that. We've got to add in some probiotics, maybe some prebiotics, definitely prebiotic and probiotic rich foods. And then if there's leaky gut, for instance, which is something with your small intestine, we have to incorporate some healing nutrients to get that back up to where it needs to be. But yeah, once you get your gut to a healthy state, you should be able to maintain that with nutrition and with keeping your stress low and understanding how that affects it.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, you touched on some things about how you work with your clients. Obviously you do some kind of evaluation on where they are, and then how do you go from there to help them get on the path to health?
Yeah, first I have a very thorough intake form to really see where they're at in terms of their nutrition, their lifestyle, what their health history is, because so much in our health history does affect us currently, what we're dealing with, especially with gut. And then just understanding other symptoms that they're having. So if they have blood work or lab work, like I would obviously review that, but they don't need to have that, because many times we can just tell through symptoms what kind of is going on. Lab work is just an additional layer, but we go through that and we start with foundation, which is the gut and other root causes. So if someone has hormonal imbalance, we're going to look at gut health. We're going to look at blood sugar balance and the common root causes to these things. Like I mentioned before, I'm a functional nutrition counselor, so we address the root causes. We want to go back upstream to see what happened or what could have potentially be causing these downstream issues and symptoms that you're experiencing. So there's root cause, and then food as medicine. We understand maybe there's a lack of, I don't know, vitamin C or zinc or whatnot. So we definitely want to be incorporating those foods. Sometimes there's occasional supplementation to bring it back up to sufficiency quicker. And then just a personalized approach. So even in my group programs, I have additional one-on-one calls to ensure we're getting that personalization in there, because no two bodies are alike. Like your body might respond to a diet differently than mine would. And so we have to take that into account. And also lifestyle and just other things going on in our life affect our body as well. So that's the general process of how I work with my clients.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting that you said going to the doctor and they just want to prescribe you medication and they don't ask, what are you eating? Or they do ask a little bit about how's your diet is usually the question. Or do you exercise? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, that's fine.
What we think is very different sometimes than reality. So and that could be on the good or the bad, right? Like we could think we're doing worse than what we are, or we could think we're doing better. And then if we don't truly know, and then the doctor's not able to look, one, they can't sit there and go through things with you. Like if you're working with a nutritionist or health coach, we go deeper to really understand what all you're eating, how your body's responding to it. It's not about critiquing your food choices. It's about how's your body responding to what you're doing currently, and how can we adapt that to help your body to better nourish your body essentially, and so that it functions optimally.
Yeah, that's so good, because everybody is different, like you said. And I know I've reached out and talked to people at supplement places, and so they just want to put you on all these different types of supplements, which I'm sure that some of them are good, but somebody needs to help you assess. Maybe it's not just supplements. Like you said, maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's your lifestyle. There's so many other factors.
Yes, there is. And I'm glad you brought that up, because I see this with my clients a lot. They've gone to a functional doctor, which I'm definitely support. I go to functional doctor as well. And their doctor has given them like 10 to 15 supplements to start with. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's overwhelming for a client who, one, they don't even understand why they're taking them. My approach is, what do we absolutely need first? Let's start low and slow and see how that improves. But just the other thing with that I wanted to say is that a lot of people think the doctor gave me these supplements, this is the solution, and now I just go on my merry way. Unfortunately, that's not the solution. That's supposed to aid in your progress, but we still have to look at diet and lifestyle and other factors that led you here to wherever you're at currently. And that's the missing link of, okay, it's great to go to a functional doctor, but then what? There's a next level. And that's why the work that I do is we're going to go a little bit deeper and see what else is going on and where else what other things need to be addressed or implemented.
Yeah, because it's not just the supplements. Like the supplements might get you to a point, but if you really want to feel good all the time, there are other things that may need to be changed.
Yes, 100%. Yep. And it's funny because some people will take the supplement and they will feel a little bit better to start with. And so they have this false sense of, oh, okay, I'm good. I'm healed. Like I'm done. And then, oh, I was taking this. And then now, yeah, all these symptoms like coming back. And it's yeah, because you just did one piece of the puzzle. That was one piece. But if you didn't alter your diet and lifestyle, and maybe there was some other root causes going on you didn't address, then yeah, it won't last very long.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to us a little bit about maybe a favorite client or a client that had a really amazing transition, how they came to you and what state they were in, and then how you helped them through the process.
Yeah, I have a lot of amazing clients, but one that really stands out is a client that she was an online entrepreneur as well. And she had PCOS. She was recently diagnosed with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And she was having like a constant menstrual cycle, basically. And the doctor recommended you either got to do hormonal birth control or you will have to have a hysterectomy. And as they take out your female organs, essentially. And she's 32. So I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we definitely don't want to do that. And she didn't want to go that route either. She wanted a more natural approach. So I was like, hey, let's just try this and see. Let's look at diet, lifestyle, and all these other things. And we did. And within 4 or 5 weeks, her cycle had leveled out. It was like back to normal. She was feeling better. Like before she was having to drink, she was drinking coffee like all day long to just keep herself afloat. She never really had the energy to exercise. And then she just had this full kind of 180 of her symptoms went away. She ended up not having to get on birth control or have the surgery. And she was feeling better than she had in like probably years. So I always just think of her as like the complete transformation. And she was such a good client too. She took the notes and went and implemented them too. It's one thing to learn it, but then you got to implement it. So, yeah. And we made adjustments along the way because it's not always, okay, I'm doing this and then everything's perfect. There are some adjustments, like I said, based on each person and how their body responds. We learned some things along the way and we just adjusted that until we didn't have to anymore.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's fantastic. I have no doubt that you changed her life. Talking about taking out her entire system and then not having to do that is amazing.
Oh yeah. And you wouldn't believe how many people have had these type of surgeries because they're not aware that there's any other approach. Like my mom had a hysterectomy at 27. Like it's very common. Another one is like having their gallbladder removed, just all these things. That's the doctor's kind of first approach is let's just take this organ out, and it's not always necessary. There's other things that can be done. At least try first.
Yeah. So I'll bet that you also work with some women who are going through like perimenopause or menopause because that changes so much in your body and your chemistry that I don't know if women expect it and things start happening and you're like, hang on a minute. It didn't used to be that way.
Yes. Yep. You're 100% right. I work with women mostly over the age of 40, but they're definitely approaching perimenopause. I have many women who are in menopause. And the thing yes, our hormones are changing. Yes, our body is changing. Like, for instance, we become more insulin resistant as we get older and as these hormones change. It's just part of how it is, which is why the diet at 35 doesn't work at 50 anymore. But what we've been told about our bodies is that's just normal. That's part of the process. You're going to have hot flashes. You're going to gain weight that you can't lose. You're going to have insomnia, all the things, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are things to do to prevent that and to make this a much smoother process. And we just have to learn, okay, what adjustments do we need to make to ensure that we are supporting these hormones and that they're staying balanced? Because at the root of it, it's like there are things that are out of balance that are causing this. And when they're in balance, it works fine. And we don't have symptoms.
Yeah. So you said, so you do some one-on-one coaching and then you do group coaching. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yep. My group is like a hybrid, I guess. It's group calls along with a couple of one-on-ones. And then I also have just one-on-one program as well.
Excellent. So if people want to reach out to you because they say, she's just described me and I'd like more information on how to fix that more naturally, how can they reach out to you?
They can email me. It's just my name, Holli with an I at holliabbott.com. They can find me on social media. I'm on all the social channels. My website, holliabbott.com. Really, anywhere, any way they would like to reach out is fine. I also have a Facebook group, Healthy Living with Holli, and they want to come join that and have lives and stuff in there.
Lovely. Yeah, we'll put all those links in the show notes so that everybody can really easily access that. So before I ask you my last question, is there anything that we haven't covered that you think that our audience should hear or know about?
Yeah, I think we talk a lot about the physical approach, right? Addressing root causes on the physical side and addressing nutrition, lifestyle habits, and all of that. But I do want to say there is the mind-body connection that we can't overlook or underestimate. And that was really the most recent part of my own health journey, was uncovering, okay, what was going on in my life or what was happening that was affecting my body. So just to give an example, not listening to my gut, staying in relationships way longer than I needed to, like not letting go of things or not letting go of people. And that was translating into my gut health, for instance. Like literally my body was like not letting go because I was doing that in my life. And so we can't underestimate the mind-body connection. And that's the next level or the next layer. So if someone has been doing all the things, like maybe they're eating healthy, maybe they're exercising and they're like, okay, this is not budging, like nothing's changing, then there may be other routes to look at. It could be something like nutritional deficiencies. It could be, but it could also be, okay, there's something maybe going on underneath the surface, or maybe it's our mind, like how we're thinking is affecting our physical body.
Yeah.
So it's very powerful and it is a huge factor. So
excellent. And you're incorporating that into your programs, I'm assuming.
Yes, I am. So after we do the nutrition and lifestyle stuff, that's like the next level, the next layer. Or if someone just they know they want to start with that, then that would be my one-on-one side of my programs, would be to go ahead and look at that mental, emotional side of things and addressing what's going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. And from my own perspective, I would say when you get 45 plus, your lifestyle changes. So if you had small children, they're now growing up and they're leaving the house, and so your whole kind of environment. And then you start thinking about, what do I really want to do if you haven't had time up until then? So it is a lot of mental and thought work.
Yes. There's a lot of new self-discovery, if you will.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you said, what do I want? Tuning into your body. Because I think as women, we can be conditioned, or we even train ourselves to ignore what we feel or what's going on for us or what we really want. Because we're like, I don't have time for that, so I can't do that. We just push it aside. And then at some point we forget who we even are. And we're like, I don't know what I even like to do. That plays a factor. And then also just not being able to, for people who are people pleasers and they're afraid to speak their truth, or they're afraid to go against the grain, afraid to say no, all those things impact our body, and we can't overlook that. And we might have got away with it in our 20s and 30s, but then it starts to add up over time. And then the body's, no, I'm done. We're definitely resisting this now. Yeah.
That's fantastic. So one last question. If you could provide one tip to make the world a better place, what would that be?
Oh gosh. I don't know if this is really a tip necessarily, but I think we can't underestimate the power of our mind. If we really understood that our thoughts are not fact, that they're usually a result of our past, of our conditioning, and that if we could learn how to question them and create new, better serving thoughts, have a better focus, change our focus to what we want versus what we don't want, we could really transform our health and our life just through that. Yeah, I would say just understanding the power of the mind.
I love that. Holli, my friend, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been enlightening and inspiring. And I think everybody listening is ready to get healthier.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I love this conversation.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Six Figure Business Mastery Podcast. If you enjoyed listening to this episode and you are ready to leverage video marketing on all online platforms, or maybe even start your own video podcast, then you need to check out the Done For You and Done With You program at themarketingvaadvantage.com and take your business to the next level.